let's discuss one of the new videos from from Jamboree. And I don't know, the more I start watching this guy, I've analyzed his videos for a while and debunked a lot of his things, but I'm starting to think he is not serious. I know, I feel like Drip Drop from Crime Circus is spoofing the conspiracy theorists. I've felt that for quite a while, that he is actually satire. Because you listen to how he presents things and he's making fun of the conspiracy theorists. And I'm starting to think Pavarotti's doing the same thing. I used to think he was dead serious, but I'm starting to think his grift is making fun of the conspiracies, because otherwise, why would it be so easy to debunk the stuff he puts out there? And this newest one is literally like taking candy from a baby. It was so easy to debunk, so quick to debunk. So let's get started.
But what I've heard so many times is, why would they go after their kids? Why wouldn't they just take them out? And, it's a very good point. It's always been a very good point. And my answer to that has always been because they wanted to send a real message and they probably couldn't get to the parents. To this day, I never had actual proof that they couldn't get to the parents. What I showed y'all in a video earlier was not only proof that they couldn't get to the parents, but it was proof that it would have made them so mad that they couldn't get to the parents, and it was right there in their face, that it would have sent them over the top to send a message, I assure you. But what I discovered was it was his residence where the narcotics would come in from Seattle and Tacoma to his residence in Spokane, and then it would go from there to another residence in Coeur d'Alene. The residence that I showed y'all earlier in October of 2022, just before the atrocity, was the father and the stepmother's Spokane residence.
Wrong answer, son.
So that house that he shows on Sargent in Spokane Valley, Ben Mogen did live in for a short time. But it was a sober living house back when Ben Mogen lived in it. And new purchasers bought it in 2021, and it was no longer a sober living house. It became a single family residential house, and thus Ben Mogen was not living in there anymore. Now, I don't know if he had completed his treatment program before he had to move out of there, but he was no longer living in there. And he had a different address that was over in Coeur d'Alene later in 2021 after that house got sold. So, let me show you. So that house was actually an Oxford house, and it was listed in the 2012 directory of Oxford houses in Washington State. And you can see here where it was listed at 223 South Sargent Road in Spokane Valley. And what the Oxford houses are is they're sober living houses. And that particular house would hold 8 men. So it wasn't a co-ed, it was just men. And it was where they could complete their treatment court, get sober, etc. And that house was sold in 2021, as I said. So here's the warranty deed, and it's available on the Spokane County Assessor's site, and it shows that it was purchased on 5/25 of 2021. And it was subsequently registered with the city as residential, single-family residential, and owner-occupied. So it is no longer an Oxford house. And that means Ben Mogen also was not living in there in 2021 anymore. And just so you can see it's no longer an Oxford house as well, this is the listing directory for Oxford houses as of January of 2022. And I did a search under Spokane Valley because that's where it was. And there's 6 Oxford houses in Spokane Valley, but you can see that Sargent address is not one of them anymore. So it has not been an Oxford house since 2021. And Ben Mogen wrote an email asking for traffic ticket relief back on April 26th of 2021. And you can see that his address was listed in Coeur d'Alene. So as of April of 2021, he was no longer in Oxford House, and he was over in an apartment in Coeur d'Alene. And that email got forwarded on to the people for the relief in September of 2021. And you can see in October of 2021, the judge did grant him the traffic ticket relief. And that letter was sent out on October 8th, and it was sent to that address in Coeur d'Alene. So in October of 2021, he was in the apartment in Coeur d'Alene. He was not living on Sargent over in Spokane Valley.
The Pacifica that you see sitting out in front watching that residence was a protected unit working, no doubt, for the OCD ETF. No doubt, federal vehicle right here. This is a couple of agents working a protection detail.
Okay, now I'm not gonna dispute or deny that those are drug people, because I have no clue. It's two people sitting in a minivan, so they could be anyone. It could be you sitting in that minivan for all we know, Pav. So I'm not gonna make any claims about that, but Ben Mogen was definitely not in that house back in 2022 when that Google Street View was taken. He hadn't lived at Oxford House over there on Sargent since at least the spring of 2021. So they definitely weren't there watching him if those people were there watching someone.